This is the story of what happened when the most successful easy listening revolution in K-pop history collided with a high-stakes corporate power struggle at the world's largest music conglomerate. I spent my 20s in smoke-filled bars listening to Van Halen and Def Leppard, and while the polished world of idols usually felt a universe away, the rise and current crisis of NewJeans captured my attention because it mirrors the same high-stakes industry drama we saw in the 80s and 90s.
This is the story of how the fastest K-pop act to reach 1 billion Spotify streams fractured into a 4-member group following a historic legal battle. We are tracking the timeline from their surprise debut in 2022 to the contract termination of Danielle Marsh in December 2025. On July 22, 2022, the music industry witnessed something that simply doesn't happen in the carefully calculated world of K-pop. The typical promotional cycle usually involves weeks of image teasers, video snippets, and concept trailers designed to build hype. But ADOR and Hee-jin decided to bypass that standard promotion entirely. There was no warning. The attention music video just dropped. That decision to bypass the industry standard set the tone for everything that followed, and the market responded immediately. The debut EP, titled NewJeans, didn't just chart. It moved volume that hadn't been seen before. The record shows sales of over 1.5 million copies. According to the Circle chart, that figure stands as the best-selling debut album by a female K-pop act in history. The momentum created by that surprise drop carried them straight into their next release. Hype Boy became a viral sensation, taking over social media feeds globally. But it was December 2022 that proved this wasn't just a momentary trend. When Ditto was released, it began a run on the charts that is difficult to overstate. In the Korean tracking system, a perfect all kill is a difficult metric to achieve even once. Ditto secured a historic 655 perfect all kills. By the time the calendar turned to 2023, the group had already broken out of the domestic market. They landed on the Billboard Hot 100 with OMG and Ditto, marking the group's first entry on the American charts. That global expansion culminated in July 2023 with the release of the Get Up EP. The sales data for this second EP confirmed their trajectory. Circle Chart recorded over 2.2 million copies sold, propelling the release to debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Underpinning this rapid ascent was a specific sonic strategy. The sound of NewJeans was heavily crafted by songwriters 250 and FRNK. They deliberately pivoted away from the maximalist girl crush sound that had dominated the industry for years. Instead, they leaned into easy listening UK garage and Jersey club influences, creating a distinct audio signature that separated them from their peers. The innovation wasn't limited to the music. ADOR also diverged from standard industry tech practices. Instead of relying solely on the standard Weverse interface used by other HYBE artists, the agency developed a dedicated app called Phoning. This was designed specifically for NewJeans to interact with fans directly, creating a closed loop of communication that felt more personal. Even the group structure was an anomaly. Initially, they stated they had no fixed positions. There was no assigned leader, no main vocal, and no main dancer. This fluidity was part of the concept, though in public appearances, Minji often took on the de facto spokesperson role to guide the conversation. To understand the magnitude of what unraveled later, you have to look at the money that was flowing through ADOR during the 2023 fiscal year. The verified financial data from that period before the conflicts of 2024 began shows a subsidiary operating at massive scale. ADOR's total revenue for the 2023 fiscal year hit 110.3 billion KRW. When you convert that, it is approximately $80.1 million US dollars. Out of that revenue, the agency posted a net profit of 26.5 billion Korean won, or roughly $19.2 million US dollars. The contribution of the group to that bottom line was immense. NewJeans generated approximately $19 million in revenue contribution alone. When you break that down to the individual level, the estimated earnings for 2023 came out to $3.8 million per member. That financial success was bolstered by a streaming record that landed them in the Guinness Book of World Records. They were the fastest K-pop act to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify. As of December 2024, their total Spotify streams had surpassed 5.5 billion. The tracks Ditto, OMG, and Hype Boy each crossed the 500 million stream mark individually. Luxury brands recognized this value immediately. They moved to secure every member for high-profile ambassadorships, splitting the group across the major fashion houses. Minji signed with Chanel as a global ambassador covering fashion, beauty, and watches. Hanni was secured by Gucci and Armani Beauty. Heron became a global ambassador for Dior across jewelry, fashion, and beauty. Hee-jin signed with Louis Vuitton, and Danielle, whose contract status would later become the flashpoint of late 2025, was signed as a global ambassador for Burberry and represented YSL Beauty. Recognition from the industry followed the money. In November 2023, they became the first K-pop girl group to perform at the Billboard Music Awards. That same month, they swept the domestic award season, winning Artist of the Year at both the Mama Awards and the Melon Music Awards. Everything looked perfect on the surface, but the 2023 fiscal year would be the last full year of stability the group would see. The cracks in the foundation became visible on April 22, 2024. That was the day HYBE, the parent company, initiated an internal audit of ADOR and its CEO, Hee-jin. The allegation was serious. HYBE accused Min of plotting a coup to seize control of the subsidiary and take ADOR independent. 3 days later, on April 25, 2024, Hee-jin held a press conference that captivated the industry. She denied the allegations of a coup and instead pointed the finger back at HYBE. Specifically, she accused their subsidiary Belift Lab of plagiarizing the NewJeans concept for a new group called ILIT. Her words were direct. She stated that the cultural achievements of NewJeans are, ironically, being most seriously violated by HYBE. This sparked a core conflict that would dominate the rest of the year. It was a power struggle between the parent corporation and the creative CEO over management independence and artistic control. Amidst this very public corporate battle, the group had to continue working. In May 2024, they released How Sweet and Bubblegum. In June 2024, they made their Japanese debut with Supernatural and managed to sell out a fan meeting at the Tokyo Dome. This event was branded as Bunny's Camp 2024. They were performing to sold-out crowds while the executives managing them were at war. The corporate hammer dropped in August 2024. The board dismissed Hee-jin as CEO of ADOR and appointed Kim Joo-young as her replacement. This was the moment the conflict ceased to be just a boardroom issue and directly involved the members. They did not accept the change quietly. On September 11, 2024, the members turned on a camera and held an emergency YouTube livestream. They demanded Hee-jin's reinstatement by September 25th, publicly challenging the decision of their parent company. The tension moved from YouTube to the government on October 15, 2024. Hanni appeared at the National Assembly to testify regarding workplace harassment. She recounted a specific incident involving a manager from another HYBE label who, upon seeing her, instructed others to ignore her. This testimony brought the internal culture of the company under intense public scrutiny. By November, the situation had become untenable. Hee-jin officially resigned in November 2024. The group took drastic action shortly after. On November 28, 2024, the members held a press conference announcing the termination of their exclusive contracts with ADOR. They cited a breach of trust as the primary reason. Their statement was stark. They declared that their trust in ADOR and HYBE had already collapsed. They went further, stating that forcing them to work for another 5 years despite this breakdown was not only unreasonable but also inhumane. The transition into 2025 saw the group attempt to forge a new path. In February 2025, the members tried to rebrand and operate independently under the name NJZ. This effort was short-lived. By March 2025, a court injunction blocked the use of the name and ruled that their original contracts were valid. This effectively forced them back into the fold. The legal defeat in March led to a splintering of the group later in the year. In November 2025, Halen and Hee-jin announced their return to ADOR, but the dispute was far from over for everyone. The end of the year brought the final break in the original lineup. On December 29, 2025, ADOR announced the termination of Danielle Marsh's contract. Unlike the others, her dispute did not end in a return. Following the termination, Danielle confirmed her exit in a live stream on January 12, 2026. Addressing the fans directly, she said, "When I think of bunnies, the first thing that comes to mind is your eyes. Those memories are what quietly hold me up now. As of January 15th, 2026, the landscape of the group has fundamentally changed. NewJeans is now active as a 4-member act comprising Minji, Hanni, Halen, and Hee-jin. Minji is currently negotiating her long-term status, while Hanni, Halen, and Hee-jin have confirmed their return to the agency. The management is now firmly under CEO Kim Joo-young. The Hee-jin versus HYBE controversy, which began with an audit in April 2024, resulted in HYBE winning the corporate battle, Min's resignation, and the permanent alteration of the group that once broke records faster than anyone in history.